Leader.
Before I get into my remarks, I ask unanimous consent that the scheduled vote on the Sanchez nomination occur at a time to be determined by the Majority Leader in consultation with the Republican leader.
Is there objection? Without objection.
For the information of senators, we expect to have this vote later today. Obviously, the delay in getting here because of the snow has forced us to postpone it till later in the day. Okay, Mr. President, first let me wish you and all of my colleagues a happy and healthy new year. I hope everyone traveling across the country remains safe in the face of these recent winter storms. This morning, let me begin with a few words on the loss of our dear friend, our beloved former leader, and one of the brightest stars to ever serve in the U.S. Senate, our former colleague, Harry Reid of Searchlight, Nevada, as he would proudly refer to himself. Harry Reid, in short, was one of the most incredible individuals I've ever met, the sort of person you come across only a handful of times in your entire life. He was tough as nails, a fighter to his core, but also one of the most compassionate individuals you could imagine. To lose Harry Reid is like losing track of the North Star. There are many in this chamber who got to where they are because of him. Next Wednesday, January 12th, Harry will make his final return to the U.S. Capitol, where he'll lie in state under the Rotunda. As we honor his life and legacy, I'll have more to say in the coming days. But for now, I can only say that Harry was my leader, my mentor, one of my dearest friends. When you lose someone who is as close to us as Harry was, they're never truly gone. They'll always stay with us. As we gavel in today, I take comfort knowing that Harry is with us in spirit, walking alongside us as we continue the work he dedicated himself to for so many years. To Harry's family, to his wife Landra, to all the children and grandchildren, I offer my prayers and my condolences. Now, Mr. President, the Senate gavels in on this icy January morning to mark the beginning of a new year, and there is much we must accomplish. At the start of 2020, few could have foreseen the awful trials our country has endured over the past 2 years. But against adversity, the American people responded. Last year, over 200 million Americans got vaccinated against COVID. 6 million jobs were added back to the economy. And Congress delivered on historic legislation that gave Americans a much-needed lifeline to get through the worst of COVID. In a 50-50 Senate, we passed the first standalone infrastructure bill in decades, passed historic funding for the sciences and tech innovation, and confirmed the most judicial nominees in a president's first year since Ronald Reagan. Despite the immense challenges before us, we now begin 2022 better off compared to where we were 1 year ago. But of course, there is much, much still left to do. So let us continue. To begin this week, the Senate will vote to confirm Gabriel Sanchez as a U.S. Circuit Court judge for the Ninth Circuit. A graduate of Yale, a Fulbright scholar, and a current Associate Justice of the California Court of Appeals, Justice Sanchez has presided in hundreds of cases and has the experience and expertise necessary to be an excellent addition to the federal bench. Off the floor, the negotiations will continue with members of our caucus and with the White House on finding a path forward on Build Back Better. As I mentioned before Christmas, I intend to hold a vote in the Senate on BBB, and we'll keep voting until we get a bill passed. The stakes are high for us to find common ground on this legislation. The climate crisis continues to worsen. Families and children continue dealing with the impacts of COVID. And too many Americans still struggle to pay the high costs of health care and prescription drugs. We'll keep working until we get something done. Now about January 6th and defending democracy. At the same time, the Senate will also proceed on another urgent and fundamental matter, protecting our democracy and strengthening the right to vote in free and fair elections. Later today, I'll meet with a number of my colleagues to continue our conversation on voting rights. And I'll meet with our entire caucus for the first time this year to talk about how we're going to move forward. There's been constant discussion among members over the break. Constant. I must have made a minimum of 10 phone calls every single day, with maybe the exception of Christmas, in respect for my colleagues. But we have to keep moving forward. And a few days from now, our country will observe a dark and troubling milestone, the one-year anniversary of January 6th, the day that thousands of rioters, urged on by the vicious lies of the disgraced former president, waged a violent assault upon the U.S. Capitol in order to prevent a peaceful transfer of power. This was no just peaceful demonstration. This was aimed at undoing our democracy. Thank God they failed. As I said hours after the attack on January 6, 2021, January 6, 2021 will be forever remembered as a day of enduring infamy, a permanent blemish in the story of American democracy, and the final bitter act of the worst president in modern times. Of course, over the course of this week, we'll pay tribute to the heroes who stepped up that fateful day. Our Capitol Police, the D.C. Metro Police, our National Guard, who kept watch for months, and everyone who acted quickly that day to save the lives and save our democracy.